Okay, here is what I've gotten done so far for the little stairwell. The heart theme comes out of some things that are it was used a lot in Fisher Price. It was also used a lot in Pennsylvania Dutch stuff. I had a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch stuff in the house decoration as a kid. Things that I remember. Sorry, there's a little bit of glue there. A little glue stuck. I edged these corners and I edged this up here. I did not show myself doing that because I was dumb and decided to go ahead and put the stairs on before I edged it. So edging it was a little, I had to be like really precise and careful. I'm actually pretty happy that it's not as crooked as it possibly could be. The little balusters and banisters on the top, baluster is in between, although I think these probably have a different name. And you can see they're all glued in place. I've hit this with a little bit of Mod Podge to seal it. I need to do that on the edges, and then I can give it a coat of white paint. These are going to be yellow. So let's see, let's turn this around. The next thing I added, let me get this in place, was this doorway in here. Let me see if I can get it to focus a little bit better. Yeah, you can see I put some lines up here. This was simply to get it centered. I have this piece still, which shows what sizes I need to make the pieces of plexiglass that will go in there will be. So this piece is over here. I really didn't do much with these guys. I added in a couple of supports so it's a little more structurally sound, and I added in some sealant to make sure that the paint won't soak in. So these guys are ready for white, and you can see I added 2 in here. It's kind of interesting looking on the inside. And I added a little bit more sealant. I had not gotten quite down the chimney enough, so I added some more sealant. Plus I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on a couple of edges, and then I can start painting white on all of these. But before we do that, I would really like to cover this with some of the green paper. So I'm going to talk to you in a second about the green paper. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay. Sorry, I just had a really big sneeze. I showed you this little paper yesterday, and you can kind of see what it looks like. Again, I'm going to explore doing this. I think the mistake was that I didn't paint like a background color, and that's the reason why there's some depth, but not enough for me on this one. So I want you to first of all note that I did some really big pieces of paper. It struck me, as you can see the back here, this is just grocery advert paper. It struck me when I had this piece, you know, here is, let's get this up even further. You can see I was doing some color choices, like just pulling out what I had in the box and seeing like which one did I want, what color, what shade I was looking for. And I was kind of looking for more of a Kelly green, and then realizing that one of my green paints has this kind of weird super shiny bit that I'm not totally happy with. So I decided to, instead of painting, I can't believe it took me this long to do this. It's fine to paint the small pieces of paper when I want a lot of really individual colors, but if I want a piece that's just going to cover a whole base, I think it's a lot more convenient and efficient to do it as just one piece. And I did these two. Let me get a sip of coffee here. And you can see I did some different things within the paint. I liked adding some of this turquoise blue in here, and I really wish I'd left a bit more blue over here. I can go in and rework this again. When I say rework, I come in with a base color of paint. I talked to you about this in some previous videos about how I paint the paper. I'll paint it and then let it dry and then see what I want to do with it, and then come back into it by adding either more color, or you can see here I used, I think it was the back end of the paintbrush, just to see what was going on. And I think with this one it needs some more light greens, some lighter greens, like more acidic, almost more yellow green, and a little bit more of this kind of tealy blue turquoise. So because of that, I'm not going to use this piece. I'm going to use this piece. There's a little bit more of the more acidic yellow popping through that I like. A little bit more contrast with the color, meaning I've got some darker greens, more citrusy kind of greens, acidic, and I like some of this brushwork in here. Also, I liked how these popped out. The bubble wrap popped out. So I'll be using this piece of paper, which is pretty large, and in fact I don't think I really need this whole gigantic piece of paper for this, meaning I can move this over to a corner, because when I'm trying to decide how I want to, the paper that I want to use, I want to make sure it wraps over about an inch or maybe 2 to 3 centimeters. So if I really want this in here, then I can, or if I have a specific spot that I want, if I really want like this spot here, that means I can trim off these pieces on the end and then wrap in. But you can see here I don't really have enough down here on the end, so we're gonna have to go horizontally for this. And I really like this spot right here. I like this green, and I like how these are coming in together. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to center it over in here, so I can, in this cut for how we're watching it, for this upper left corner, and then this I'll have some chunks left over that I can do other things with. So now that I've chosen it, I just need to cut the paper down. Now that's not incredibly exciting. Let's see, I want to make sure that's in there. And I want to make sure as I'm wrapping, that looks good. Because honestly, most of the time I don't measure this. I have this ruler. This is my main metal culling ruler. It's the Publisher Model 1012. This was a gift to me from my friend George Harris when I went off to learn to be a graphic designer. And you can see I've got a point. It's got points. So this is for type, for points. God, my brain is just not working. And this is all in points, and then it's all in inches on this side. I really like this. It's a really good, clean, straight edge. So if I do it in inches, I got about 2 inches over here. Let's see, I'm gonna come out just a tick further, because I know that's about 1 3/4 inches. This is not terribly exciting work. Make sure your fingers are not in the way. Got a nice clean blade, and you know me, I will not waste this. This will be used for something else. One of the things I like about this kind of ruler, it doesn't have a cork backing. This one's just a cheap one I picked up for like 99 cents. This has a nice amount of weight to it. This one's aluminum. This one's like stainless steel. And when you put it down, it's gonna stay put. It's also a really good one for when I need to tear paper and I want a decal edge. Okay, so we have this portion here, and what I do is, here is the paper. I'm going to be flipping things over, and you can kind of see here, I don't really do a precise amount of measuring on this. I know that this is going to go face down, and I'm going to be gluing. So in the next little chunk of this video, I'm going to show you how I put on I'm going to use, I've been kind of going back and forth. I used thinned tacky glue a lot, but I also use Mod Podge. Both of these glues are the best glues that I have found for paper collage to make sure things stick and they don't bubble up and look weird. So I think I might use the Mod Podge on this one. So we'll find out when we get back. Okay, I'll be back in a sec.